Hello, thank you for joining us. We have Suzanne here representing Jumeirah Hotels, and we're doing things a little bit differently today. We decided to switch our time frame. Suzanne had a commitment during the day, so we decided to chime in more around the after work slash before dinner hour for most people on the West Coast. And then those of you who are chiming in from the East Coast, it's a little bit later. So good evening. And Suzanne, I'm so happy to have you here today. You have such amazing properties, and each time I've met with you and talked about the different properties, I've been so impressed by the fact that Jumeirah really, the properties invoke so much emotion, and the experience that each of these properties, how they were designed and crafted and how they're managed, are so unique. And I know you have properties around the globe, but I think today, just focusing on your properties in the UAE, particularly in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we have Jumeirah, if you're not too familiar with the brand, we actually are just an international boutique luxury brand. And we started roughly about 20 years ago with the Burj Al Arab, which you see here on the screen, which was our actually second property. Jumeirah Beach, which is right across from the Burj Al Arab, was our first. So we have about 28 properties currently in our collection, and we actually are continuing to grow, and we'll have 13 more added here in the next year or two. So we're very excited. But yes, just in the UAE alone, we have 9 different properties. So you can imagine there's certainly an option for everybody, whether you're traveling, with families, or if you're traveling as a single, or even on a honeymoon, celebrating a special occasion outside of a honeymoon. So we have a choice for everybody, also depending on your budget, that we can definitely accommodate you.
And I think what's so fascinating is that you have such a concentration. I mean, that's really kind of your home base, and then certainly your branching. Your property in London, for example, is just absolutely amazing. But I think it's important to really understand, how do you choose your property if you are to be traveling to Dubai? And do you have some clients who choose to stay at 2 of your properties in one visit?
Yes, absolutely. Because of the fact that we have so many options for guests, we are really offering a lot of different experiences with our property. So you could stay at the Burj Al Arab, you could stay on the beach where we have the Medinet Jumeirah, which is actually considered city in Arabic, and that alone has 4 different properties for you. You could also stay in the downtown area at Jumeirah Emirates. You could stay along the creekside. That is kind of an up and new coming area. You could also stay on the Palm, which is also Zabil, where Jumeirah Zabil Sarai is. So certainly people can make a multi-property itinerary happen. You can even do Dubai and Abu Dhabi, since Abu Dhabi is only roughly about an hour and a half drive away.
How would you describe some of the different experiences that each of the properties offer? I mean, what is it like to step into a Jumeirah hotel?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I will tell you, you'll never find one Jumeirah like another. They are all very unique and different, and that kind of encompasses our vision from our CEO and our founder, when putting forth Jumeirah in front of anybody. Is that each property is culturally connected to the destination that they're in. You will find, perhaps that modern, unique look to each hotel when you walk inside, but it ultimately just depends on where exactly it's located. So you'll see here that perhaps Jumeirah Al Naseem, that property is much more modern. So if you're someone who really likes that, up and coming, the newness to it, I highly recommend Al Naseem. If you are someone who really just likes the architecture and the design, Burj Al Arab. You'll never find any other hotel like it. So I certainly recommend that hotel. If you want something more family oriented that has more of a contemporary design to it, Al Qasr may be a better fit for you, or perhaps Jumeirah Beach. But ultimately, what's really great about all of our properties in Dubai is that if you stay at any of them, you actually have access to all of the restaurants at our hotels, as well as the other amenities and entities. We have over 80 restaurants alone in just the Madinat complex, as well as the Burj Al Arab. So you can truly enjoy at any restaurant, charge it back to your room, and then also enjoy the Wild Wadi Water Park, which is one of our fantastic entities for children. So as a Jumeirah guest, you actually have complimentary access up to 2 children to that park, unlike someone who is staying somewhere else.
And then, as you mentioned, 80 restaurants. That's like unfathomable. And are there certain styles of restaurants, or can you accommodate? I mean, what would be an itinerary for 4 or 5 nights? What would be the type of cuisine and the elegance versus the casual type dining you might experience?
Yeah, I mean, 80 restaurants is across all of our hotels, and we have literally a different cuisine for, or different taste for everybody. So everything from Indian food to French food to Italian food to Mediterranean, Arabic type of style, Turkish type of style. Really fish. We have just a seafood only type of restaurant. So sushi, Asian fusion cuisine, something for everybody. So you can certainly, in a 5-day itinerary, come up with choices every single day. And this here in front of you, actually, that you're seeing that Angie just showed, is a map of just our hotels along the private Jumeirah Beach, which is roughly about a mile to a mile and a half. So some of the properties we just discussed are along that beach. You can see there that Burj Al Arab is on its own island. So this is located at what we consider as the beach hotels. What I was mentioning earlier, of course, there's so many other hotels we have that are in different parts of Dubai that you can add on to your itinerary or make a different trip altogether.
Was I muted?
Hi.
I have a feeling I was muted. So my question was, this is a big, property with a lot of elegance. It's clearly laid out and articulately. And my question to you is, how do people really meander the property?
So you could actually Miranda the property a couple of different ways. Along the beach, we do have golf carts available where our drivers can take you from one hotel to the other, or perhaps take you from one restaurant to the other. You can also walk. So as much as you think that this looks like such a vast area, again, it's about a mile, mile and a half. And some people choose to walk to different places, the spas, the gyms, the kids clubs. These are all spread out throughout. And if you'll notice here, there's actually some blue coloring that are in between the hotels. And what that is actually waterways. So I'm so glad you brought that up, Angie, because an additional way to get to the different properties and entities that we have within the Jumeirah Beach area is by Ambras, which are boats. So they actually fit up to approximately 10 people, I believe. Could be a little less, but you can actually take those and they can take you through the waterways and drop you off at your hotel. It's quite cute. It certainly is such a special, special place, and definitely, I think, a place to at least experience once in your life. Just the fact that Dubai has everything and anything you can think of.
And when it comes to planning your trip, I mean, do you recommend that reservations are made in advance for dinner?
Yes, I definitely do. Especially now with our occupancy levels a little lower than they normally would be. We are definitely finding that people are wanting to go out and eat and experience the restaurants due to the fact that we're doing so well with our safety measures in place. So I highly recommend advanced reservations, whether it is at the restaurants or even at the hotels through you, of course, because that way you are well taken care of.
And then how about the different activities, like a spa treatment versus if you know you're going to plan a day at the water park with a family and kids, how do you orchestrate all those activities? Do you also agree that those should all be planned in advance, or how much flexibility is reasonable if you're not sure if you want to hit that water park once or twice or hit the spa treatment for a second time?
Yeah, I mean, again, I would highly recommend scheduling, things that have those time slots like a spa, the activities that you can do just in Dubai alone, like the touring, going into the city, seeing the tallest building of the world, Burj Khalifa, or if you want to go out to the desert or do a dune buggy or the, type of activities, highly recommend planning in advance. Certainly, there's the Emirates Mall, which is the biggest mall in the world. You don't necessarily need a reservation for that, but you definitely want to try to make some time to shop and do things at your leisure. And what's even great about our properties on the beach there is that we have our own souk, which is like a little shopping area with all of these boutiques. That's great.
And then if you're visiting and you're mentioning like the restaurants being available for guests, I mean, what percentage of the restaurants, not so much in a COVID situation, because obviously things are different right now, but do you have a lot of guests that, or people that come on property that are not necessarily guests of the resorts to dine at the restaurants, or are some of the restaurants a little less available to the general public? How do you accommodate your guests versus people that are on property for other experiences like dining?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We certainly do have the general public that come and enjoy our restaurants and our entities like the Medina Souk. But we actually do try to cater to our guests first and foremost. So we do have certain slots within our reservations that we try to cater to our guests first.
You get the VIP treatment if you're a guest at the restaurants, I imagine.
Absolutely, yes. And you are a VIP guest if you go through boutique travel advisors too, because you get additional amenities that you wouldn't get if you were just booking direct. So we highly love and value our partnership with boutique travel advisors and recommend, especially going to a place that may not be as familiar to you.
A lot of our clients realize that there's so many decisions to be made. I mean, just as an example, just the properties alone underneath the Jumeirah name there's a lot of decisions to be made, and certain properties are going to appeal more to clients depending on, are you traveling with a group, are you traveling with your family, or are you traveling with other couples, or is this a romantic getaway? I mean, all of those factors are going to play a role in deciding which hotel for a particular trip. And another request that we get quite frequently, Suzanne, is that we have a lot of clients that consider Dubai as a destination either prior to a safari or before going to the Seychelles Islands or the Maldives. Can you explain sort of some itineraries and how best to incorporate an experience to the UAE before and after another trip?
Sure, absolutely. That's the best thing I think about Dubai and UAE is the fact that it is in the middle of the world, right? So a lot of people who may want to just do a couple of nights as a stopover destination due to the fact that they may find a great airlift on Emirates or the best itinerary on certain airlines. They definitely will use it as a stopover. It could be pre or post cruise. I find that could be very popular as well. They may do a combined trip, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, They may also do a combined trip with Dubai, Maldives. We also see Dubai, South Africa. Because again, as I mentioned, Dubai is really in the middle of the world, so it's a great stopping point. But as you can see and hear, there's so many things to see and do just in the UAE alone that certainly people can make it as an end destination, and only destination, and come back several times if they wanted to explore different parts of the UAE with the different emirates that are there. Oman,
Yeah.
I will mention and point out, yeah, it's a great destination. It's up and coming. We have a hotel that will be opening up there soon, but that also seems to be something that people are starting to look at as far as a little bit outside of the box, and that's different. Again, the very quick flight from the UAE from Dubai to get there. You can also drive it, but we recommend, excuse me, people to fly it. 45 minutes flight, really, but you can certainly do two areas. And Oman, just so you know, as a little bit of a reference, that is not as developed as Dubai in the UAE. So you'll really find that authenticity in there with the people, the food, and the culture.
And I think a lot of people have misperceptions as to what experiences are truly available in the UAE. So, I mean, just to talk about some of the festivals or the activities or some of the theater, and certainly we think of shopping and we think of the city center and the largest building in the world. But what are some activities that may not be on people's radars when they think of a trip to Dubai?
Yeah, I mean, there are all kinds of different things, Angie. I mean, it's so great that we really truly can do, a lot of unique activities as well. There's helicopter rides, obviously, all the different great outdoor experiences that offered. I mentioned the dune buggy and the desert safari experience. That is something that is so neat to do. You can make it a private safari if you wanted to, or you could do it with other members other guests of Jumeirah, or even out that are just traveling to Dubai. And you can make a whole day out of it where you literally take these cars out and have a fabulous dinner. There's certainly different and unique shows that we have throughout the city that are available. And one that actually is coming up that you may have already heard of that was delayed due to the pandemic is the Expo, the World Expo. So that starts in October and goes through March of 2022. A great way to, know Dubai, see Dubai and experience it. And we certainly are seeing that people can come pre or post and enjoy the Expo as well as enjoy other parts of Dubai.
And some people might not know the seasonality to the extent that there's seasonality, changes in weathers. I mean, can you kind of talk about the high season, peak season, and some good opportunities to visit maybe in the off season as well?
Absolutely. Great point. So we actually, I try to compare Dubai to Arizona that we are both in when it comes to the summer. But a little bit of a difference with regards to Dubai is the fact that Dubai has humidity. So if you're comfortable with heat and humidity, the summers there are the same and similar to what they would be in Arizona, plus the humidity. However, I will point out that everything indoors is air conditioned. Even the train stations have air conditioning that are outdoor type of units. So we certainly make sure that we offer a lot of comfort to the guests who come during the summer. And with that being said, obviously you'll find great promotions and rates during that time of the year. Other times that may be a little more busier are usually during winter season, which starts roughly about September, October, and goes through the end of the year. And then I would have to say that February, March, April is also a busy time as well. But with that being said, amazing things going on during the festive season, Christmas, the holidays, New Year's Eve. I mean, out of the world. Amazing experiences, parties, and events that go on. Obviously now, going into this year, we'll be doing things a little bit different, but it will still have that vibe that everybody just, if you're into that, would love.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, you think of it as a place to really experience and to entertain and definitely let loose a little bit. And there's just so much at your fingertips. And I've heard, I haven't been there. I did have the opportunity. I know that it was something I was trying to finesse back in 2020. So I'm hoping that my opportunity is not too far from, the future, not too far out. So I really
It
would also like to
it will
touch
not
on,
be.
yeah, won't that be great? I also want to touch on sort of the direction that Jumeirah is taking into the future and where you see the growth um, in the future.
Yeah, thank you for asking. As I mentioned, we are roughly at about 28 hotels and we're adding 13 new ones. And, really there were three pillars that our CEO over the last year has tried to build, move forward with that. And those three things are, food and beverage, unique design, and then service. So he's really trying to focus that all of our hotels have those types of pillars that are instilled in the team and still in the hotel. We are very known in the UAE and we'll continue to grow there. But expanding outside of the Middle East is a vision for Jumeirah. So continuing to grow in other parts that you may not think of Jumeirah, whether it's Asia Pacific, Thailand, Europe. You mentioned the Carlton Tower in London that is opening up here, hopefully in the next couple of months. We're so excited for that hotel to open because it's really going to be the flagship of Europe, just as the Burj Al Arab is in the Middle East. So, of course, just trying to get people to think of Mallorca even or Italy. Capri Palace just joined Jumeirah last year, which is a beautiful property and a Capri. So, just think of Jumeirah as unique, different, luxury, but also not only just in the UAE, but outside of it as well.
I think I think of certain hotel brands. I think of Four Seasons. I think of Belmont. I think those types of hotel properties, they have clients that travel not just to go to a destination, but to experience those resorts. And I really see your brand. I mean, it's a younger company. How many is it? 20 plus years?
Yes.
Okay. So, but I see your future in really creating, oh my gosh, I've been to, once you've been to a property or two, you start to create that bucket list for where do I want to go next? And knowing that you're going to get that over the top experience with a combination of luxury, cuisine, and culture. I mean, it's just fascinating to see, to be able to see
Yeah.
all these hotels launching around the world. It must be exciting for you being part of the team.
Yes, yes, I love it. I mean, you learn something new every day and you really can offer some one of a kind experiences for guests. I mean, hearing people that have special occasions and, had a fabulous day at one of our hotels and then just will have a memory for life, and multi-generational family trips, right? Too. And people that are just like, hey, I've, never been able to experience a destination like this or not even fathom to experience it, but that it is it's able to you can be able to get there through Emirates and through obviously being able to afford staying at hotels that may not necessarily be the Burj Al Arab because as I mentioned we definitely have an array of price points when it comes to our hotels, and not only in the UAE but also across throughout the rest of the world. So I would love to take care of your guests and your clients, Angie. So certainly make sure to reach out to Angie and any other further questions I can certainly help and assist too. Because like what you mentioned, it's such a great multi-itinerary trip for sure because you can go on and whether it's on the way there or on the way back and do a two-nighter if you wanted to.
We do. We have clients currently scheduled to spend a couple of days in Dubai when their trip is designed more so for a safari, but they decided why not, let's make this happen, and they're really thrilled and excited to add Dubai to their itinerary. So Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us. I think it was fun for me to be able to present into the evenings. This was something, that we've done differently, but it was kind of fun to mix things up a little bit. We kind of have to do that in this pandemic. But
Yes,
thank you
absolutely.
again.
And some
And
technical difficulties too.
yeah, we had a few, but that's, technology is always going to be a challenge because it's always evolving. But thank you again. And we'd love to have you come back because you have so many properties to feature. And I know I want to celebrate the opening of your London property here that's happening soon. So we'll have to tune back in.
Would
Thank
love to,
you.
would love to. Yes. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment and we'll make sure those questions get answered. Bye-bye. Thank you.